For joining me for today's lecture. Today we are going to look into the medical device design history file and of course its audit. As you know, audit, like inspection, is for examining again actions that have been done, examining any validation that has been performed, examining anything that we did, any repetitive task that has been completed. And when we look into the audit, obviously auditors or inspectors, they have their checklist. And the checklist that auditors and inspectors they use is always made based on what they are going to examine in any manufacturing facility, for example. So you may say how auditors and inspectors they create their audit checklist. What they do is that they look into the existing regulations, looking into, again, the location of the manufacturing facility. If this is in Canada, obviously they will have to refer to Health Canada regulations. If this is in the USA, they will have to look into the FDA regulations. If this is a manufacturing facility that is for example, exporting to another country like in a European Union, they will also have to take into account the requirements made by the European Medicinal Agency, so that when they are going to go over examining a system or a product or a process, they are making sure that all of these audited, I would say, topics or systems, for example, they are all in full compliance with the requirements by the regulations. So auditors and inspectors, they read the regulations, they create checklists based on what is required by the regulation. Then auditors and inspectors, they go to the place, to the location, and then they are going to look into different procedures in place, different documentations, different personnel files, different types of evidences to show that that manufacturing facility is in full compliance with the regulations by checking each and every item that they are going to examine based on their checklist. Now here we are going to go over what is the audit that we do usually when we are going to a company where they are making medical devices, and this is for making sure that that manufacturing facility is in full compliance with FDA requirements related to the design of medical devices. Now I'm going to read the purpose of this document. So the purpose is the design history file, or DHF, documents and describes the steps taken throughout the design process to create your medical device. Now the DHF is a record of the process, including all plans, specifications, verifications, and validation tests, and results, design reviews and closing events, and changes to the design. So we understand that when an auditor goes to any facility where they are making medical devices, they are looking into the design review, the design plan, the design input, the design output, and of course we do have several other documents that they will have to make sure that exist and they are documented. We call those deliverables that we're going to see in the next table. Now, this file, the DHF, is necessary to ensure that standards of design, production, and quality control for medical devices development have been met to prevent injury or death. The DHF audits is a check that all elements of the DHF are complete and present in the file, so that the manufacturing facility is in full compliance with the regulatory requirements in the country. And here, of course, we talk about USA. Now let's go over the checklist itself. So when an auditor or an inspector is going to a manufacturing facility for medical devices, he or she is going to have this type of audit checklist. Now usually they prepare this, or they always prepare this before the inspection, related to any regulations that are in place. And here I'm just going to go over different content row per row. Now for design control, they are looking into design and development planning. This is what we know that is a requirement. Now the description is these are interfaces with different groups or activities that provide or result in input to the design and development process. Now what the auditor is going to check in the documentations that he or she has in front of on a desk in front of him or her. Now, we call them deliverables. So each time that the inspector or an auditor is going to look into those documents, he or she is going to open a document, read the document, making sure that it has all of the content required by the regulations. And then he or she is going to check here complete or incomplete, because when we finish the audit or the inspection, we always have an exit interview where we talk with the company authorities in order to talk about our observations. If anything is missing, we let them know, and if everything is okay and they are in full compliance, we still let them know as well. When something is missing, we don't give the final inspection report. We just give an inspection report, an interim one, saying that, or requiring the manufacturing facility to complete their DHF. How? By providing the documented proof of the fact that a task or a job has been done. So here we talk about deliverables. So we check if there is any assessment for the requirements of the device. If this is, we have it, it's documented, we check incomplete. Now the same thing is going to apply for the next items. So a team contract, a project plan, a project schedule. So here usually we may use Gantt charts. Here I am asking you to refer to your project management knowledge. And then we have the competitive landscape. This is where, again, a document has to be prepared for the competition. Then we have a document for early risk assessment of the device. Then the product risk analysis, the product qualification plan, and of course lessons learned from previous projects, similar to the one that we are talking about. Then the next row is about the design input of the device. So this is a physical and performance requirement used for device design. So what auditors or inspectors are going to verify, these are the following deliverables: white paper proposal, needs assessment, functions and requirements of the device, and manufacturing specifications related to the design input. Then they are going to look into other requirements. The other one is a design review. Now, what is the description? This is the examination of a design to evaluate the adequacy of the design requirements, to evaluate the capability of the design to meet these requirements, and to identify problems. I may think that you may think that this is cumbersome. No, this is not. This is just a step-by-step, a logical step-by-step procedure, so that we are going to make sure that a design has been thought well, and that design is, of course, based on the requirements of the patients or healthcare providers. So these are all step-by-step instructions that have been followed in order to do the design of a medical device. This is why we will need to make sure that we did document each and every of these steps. So now coming back to the design review, we already described what is a design review of a medical device, and now we are going to see what are the types of documents that must exist in the device history file, or DHF. And these are the deliverables that the auditor or inspector is going to make sure that exist in the device history file. So for the design review, there is the deliverables are the following: white paper slides and phase 1 meeting notes among the team that is going to develop and design the device. Then interim design slides and phase 2 meeting notes. You see, these are all step-by-step instructions, and of course these are the steps that have been followed and have been completed by a team in order to go through through making the design of a medical device. Then manufacturing plan slides and phase 3 meeting notes. And then manufacturing report slides and phase 4 meeting notes, of course, if it's applicable. And then final design slides and phase 5 meeting notes. So as you see, we are looking into documented proof that these meetings happened, those discussions took place. We also took into consideration, obviously, the requirements by the patients and the healthcare providers. Then for the next row, we are looking into the design output. So these are documents and physical design elements that are either complete or are used to move the design efforts into the next phase. So now, what are the requirements, deliverables, documented proof that we have done, again, these tasks? The first one is the interim design report. Then the manufacturing plan report. And then the manufacturing report, because when we start making that, we need to have a manufacturing report, and then the final design report. Now, the next row is about the requirements for the design verification and validation. Now, design verification confirms design output that meets the design input requirements for the medical device. And the design validation provides objective evidence that device specifications conform with user needs and intended use. So what are the documents that the inspector or auditor is going to expect to see in the device history file are the following: the product feasibility document, the user evaluation document, and the product qualification report. Now, for the next row, we need to have, it's another step in the design, which is the design transfers. Now, what is that? These are procedures ensuring the device design is correctly translated into production of the device. So here, the inspector auditor is going to expect to see, of course, the information about the biocompatibility, if obviously applicable. But overall, this is the list of the deliverables that we need to see in the device history file. So, if applicable, biocompatibility. Then, supplier selection. The procedure, bill of materials, intellectual property or IP disclosure, and a process validation plan. In the next row, we see that we also need to have documents and procedures related to design changes. So these are procedures for the identification, documentation, validation, or where appropriate, verification, review, and approval of design changes before their implementation. So here we need to have a procedure for change management. And then at the end, we have the design history file that we are inspecting or auditing, which is a compilation of records which describes the design history of a finished device. So what we need here is a design history file audit. Now it may be a 3-ring binder version of design history file. It may be a single PDF file version of device history file. So today we were able to look into the content of the device history file and what auditors they do in order to prepare a checklist and to conduct their audit or inspection, and what documents related to the design of a medical device are required so that we will be in full compliance with the regulations and regulatory requirements. Thank you so much again for your attendance.